Hi, I'm Tim, and it's time to help you choose what's on your table this weekend. Vital Lacerda is a game designer renowned for making heavy complexity games. Like, no two words about it. These are meaty games that he makes. Now, he's also renowned for making incredibly beautiful games that have great art, flow well, and they often get the deluxe edition treatment on Kickstarter through Eagle Gryphon Games. Now, I'm a huge fan of Vital Lacerda games. Anytime one of his games goes on Kickstarter, it has my attention and it has my pledge. So for this week's episode, I'm going to go through 3 of his games with you. Not necessarily a favorites or a top 3 list, but just 3 games of his with you that I've really come to enjoy over the years. The first is Vinhos. Now, Vinhos is actually the very first game I backed on Kickstarter, the deluxe edition of it anyway, and that was back in 2016. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It's a heavy complexity game. Now, the box says it takes 60 to 135 minutes. In our experience, with a lower player count, it's about a 75-minute game. And with a higher player count, it's about a 135-minute game. I would recommend adding about 15 to 20 minutes if you have a first-time player with you as well. Vinhos is actually the Portuguese word for wine. So it makes sense then that in Vinhos, each player is a wine producer in Portugal looking to make a name for themselves. Now, on your turn in Vinhos, you can do several different things. Now, you're going to be managing a variety of estates around Portugal where you have vineyards and wineries trying to make the best wine, and that's all here in front of you on your tableau. On your turn, you're going to move your worker to do different things, such as you can buy another plot of land from one of these 9 regions in Portugal and add it to your tableau to plant vineyards there. You can also buy a winery to put on one of your estates, and having a winery on one of your estates is going to increase the value of the wine as well. You can hire farmers and enologists, these guys here, to live on your land. Enologists would live in a winery if you had one, and they are going to increase the quality of your wine when it's made. You can go here and add a cellar. Cellar is going to give your wine more of an ability to age. Of course, as your wine ages, it becomes worth more in value. You can also hire wine experts. You can sell your wine locally, or you can export it. Now, at the ends of years 3, 5, and 6, the game takes place over 6 years, you're going to take one wine to the wine fair where it's going to be judged, and there's going to be different rewards for that. The game is over after the 6th year. You get victory points from different things such as having money, having wine in your cellars, exporting wine, and some bonus tiles, and whoever has the most victory points wins the game. Now, the mechanics in Vinhos are area majority and influence, variable phase order, and worker placement. If I had to pick 3 things that I really enjoy about Vinhos, the first would be this. The variable weather mechanic at the beginning of each year, I think, is genius. Everybody knows that when it comes to wine, weather makes a huge difference for every year's crop of grapes and how the wine turns out for that year's vintage. So the addition to that and the attention to detail of that as a winemaking game, I think is fantastically clever. I also love in how the deluxe edition, there's 2 ways to play. There's the original 2010 version, which has the original rules, or there's the version I showed you called the Special Vintage 2016 version. Now, the 2016 version has rules that are less complex, and it simplifies the game. And so when you already have a game that is really complex and a game maker that's renowned for making complex games, having that less complex option, I think, is an awesome addition and a really thoughtful way to re-release this game the way they did in 2016. Now, the last thing I really enjoy about Vinhos is that this is the gateway game for Vital Lacerda games. If you want to get somebody started in his genre of heavy complexity games, this is the perfect gateway game, especially when you have that special vintage that is less complex than the original game. All in all, I've introduced Vinhos to lots of friends, and all of them actually ended up buying it afterwards. They've really enjoyed it, so really recommend it at your table. Next, we have the Gallerist. Now, the Gallerist is a 1 to 4 player game of heavy complexity. The box says it takes 60 to 150 minutes. I actually have only ever measured this as a 2-player game where it takes us about 90 minutes on average to play. I would recommend adding 15 minutes to your budgeted time if you have a first-time player at the table with you as well. Now, in the Gallerist, each player represents the owner of your own art gallery, which is represented by the area on the board with an outline of your color, and as well by the board in front of each player that actually has the contents of the art gallery there as well. Now, each player is going to be buying and selling art. By buying it, they're going to be adding it to their gallery here. Selling it, they're going to get rid of it. And on their turn, they can do different things, such as buying art that's here and adding it to your gallery, such as this. You can also commission artists, which is going to help you make money off their art, because presumably you're going to commission them before they're famous and buy their art and then sell it once they are famous. You can sell art. You can take on contracts for different types of art. You can collect different rewards or achievements. You can also participate in an auction for a masterpiece. You may promote your artists so that they get more famous, or you can hire personal assistants who are going to help you do more things throughout the game. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins, and you're going to get bonuses for different types of art that you sell. If you have different types of art in a collection, then it's going to get you more coins or more money at the end of the game. The mechanics in the Gallerist are investment, set collection, worker placement, and commodity speculation. Now, 3 things that we've really enjoyed about the Gallerist. Now, the very first thing, and it should be this way in a game about art, is the aesthetic. Every time I pull this game out of the box and set it up, I just like to sit and look at it for a bit, because I just can't believe what Ian O'Toole, the artist, has pulled off in this game. For a game that's all about art, they have succeeded in making it a work of art. The other thing I like about this game is the art itself. The art that's used in the game is real works of art that all the information for that art is actually in the game book as well. There's also an expansion that allows you to draw your own pictures and include them in the game, which adds another layer of fun. Now, the last thing I really enjoy about the Gallerist is the adrenaline rush, believe it or not. When you have to collect certain sets for the curator or the art seller by the end of the game, you're just never quite sure if you're going to get there just in time for the end of the game before your opponent ends it on you. And if you can make all the pieces of that puzzle come together the way that you need to, you get a massive adrenaline rush from playing this game, and it's like that big feeling of accomplishment at the end, which I love. Well, the last Vital Lacerda game I'd like to introduce to you is Lisboa. Now, a lot of people who love his games know Lisboa, love Lisboa. I know lots of people for whom this is their favorite Vital Lacerda game. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It is super heavy complexity. It says it takes about 60 to 120 minutes on the box. Now, any time that we've played it, even with new players, old players, no matter the player count, it's actually every single game taken 2.5 hours or 150 minutes. So because of that, I would say, don't budget any extra time for this game. Budget 2.5 hours and you're going to be okay. Now, Lisboa takes place in 1755, and the city of Lisboa has just experienced an earthquake that was magnitude 8.5 to 9 on the Richter scale. After that earthquake, they experienced a tsunami, followed by several days of fire. This entire city of Lisboa is destroyed, and it's up to you to participate to rebuild it. Now, the city is represented as the downtown right here with various streets, and then the various nobles' offices as well. Now, on your turn, you're going to have several things that you can do, but it's all based on cards that you have in your hand, and those cards let you do different things or interact with these nobles in different ways. It's unique for a Vital Lacerda game is to have cards or to have a hand. So on your turn, you're going to be able to do different things with those cards, like recruiting public officials that are going to help you lobby in different nobles' offices. You can construct a store, which is you're going to take off your mat and put in a certain street here. Constructing a store helps remove some of the rubble as well, so you can put it back on your player mat depending on the color. Now, the rubble is different colors represent different things. A white piece of rubble represents the earthquake. A blue piece of rubble represents the tsunami. A red piece of rubble represents the fire. You can also construct public buildings, take contracts for later, ship some of your goods, and also meet the cardinal to get different clergy tiles as well. Now, what's really cool about this game and all the attention to details is that you don't get victory points. Instead, the victory points are referred to as wigs, and the reason for that is because wigs, or owning wigs, was a sign of prestige in 1755. So instead of winning by earning the most victory points, the player who owns the most wigs, which is tracked like victory points, will win the game of Lisboa. The mechanics in Lisboa are area majority, card drafting, hand management, and tile placement. Three things that I really enjoy about Lisboa. Now, like any Vital Lacerda game, especially where Ian O'Toole's done the art, is the aesthetics. It's a beautiful game, but not only just the aesthetics as far as the art are concerned, but the attention to detail and the theming. You know, if you get the deluxe edition, then the cardinal meeple looks like a cardinal. The fact that victory points are called wigs, because wigs were a status symbol during the era of this game. You know, just everything has been paid attention to in some way, and it just draws on the theme, and it makes you feel like you're actually in Lisboa rebuilding the town after all these natural disasters. I like the fact that it actually also includes a card or hand management component to it. It's the only Vital Lacerda game where you hold a hand, and that just makes it unique for me. If I want a unique Vital Lacerda experience, I'm going to go with this one for that reason. Now, the last thing that I really like about this, and I know that this might not be for everybody, but for me, I like it. It takes a couple times to play it to get it. The first time you play it, you're kind of wrapping your head around it, and you're really not sure what's just happened. But I like the fact that it's meaty enough that it takes a few plays to get it down pat, because that means it's going to come to my table a few times, and I'm going to enjoy it. All in all, Lisboa is a beautiful game. Everybody that I've met that likes heavy games loves this game, and it's a favorite for so many people, for the gameplay, for the art, for everything about it. Well, that does it for another episode of What's on Your Table this weekend. You know, I hope you enjoyed learning about these three games by one of my absolute favorite game designers as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. You know, if you liked this video, why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe below so that way you can hear when we have more episodes coming out, or hit that little bell to get notified. Or why don't you take time to fill out in the comments what your thoughts on these games are, or even better, tell us what's on your table this weekend.